In today's video, I'm gonna share with you guys how to pass any prop firm challenge, regardless if it's Apex Trader Funding, My Funded Futures, takeprofittrader, which is becoming one of my favorite prop firms out here, or even Tradeify. Now, I do want to warn you guys, with Tradeify, if you have a straight send-to-funded account, there is no evaluation. However, if you're trading the growth or the advanced plans, this video will be helpful for you. Now, if you guys want a way to support the channel at no additional cost to yourself and make sure you get the best deals with these prop firms out here, make sure to use the link in the description box down below. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the prop firms and see if we can find a strategy that'll help us pass. Well, first, we need to know what the rules are. In the 50K account, we must make a $3,000 profit target. And it's an end of the day trailing drawdown of $2,000. Now, I want to put a lot of emphasis on this end of the day. If you come over here to My Funded Futures and we look at their different accounts, the account that I love with My Funded Futures is the starter plan because we get $2,500 of drawdown, and they are running a special with no daily loss limit. It looks like that right now there's still no daily loss limit, so you get that full $2,500 of drawdown. Now the drawdown mode is also going to be end of the day type of drawdown. Now we come over to Tradeify, we look at the growth plan. Growth plan, you can see for the drawdown mode is going to be end of the day drawdown. Now this is going to be important because if we look at the advanced plan with Tradeify, it has an intraday trailing drawdown. Now we come over and look at Apex real quick and see where it says trailing threshold $2,500 in the 50K account. So if we come right over here to FAQ and we type in drawdown, we click on how does the trailing threshold work? If we click right there, you can see it's basically laid out for you. So what the intraday trailing drawdown is going to be, which Apex uses, it's going to be from your high water mark in your account. So for instance, you can see right here, you start off in the 50K account with a $2,500 drawdown. Well, since you have a 50K account, your account balance cannot fall below $47,500. However, if you look at, let's say we scroll down here a little bit and let's look at some of the examples. And let's look, your starting balance is $50,000. Your threshold will be $47,500. However, number two, you make $500 and close out the trade. Your balance is now $50,500 and your trailing threshold will be at $48,000. All right. So that again, your trailing threshold is always going to be $2,500 below your balance. However, it's not that simple. Because if your account goes up, like I think it's going to talk about in number 3, next you enter a trade and you get up to $52,000 in your account, but you do not close out the trade until your balance is at $51,000. So think about this. Even though you didn't close the trade out, you were up $1,000 more in the trade than where you actually closed out the trade. Then your threshold will be at $49,500 because it's going to trail $2,500 behind your open equity, regardless if you took that profit. So in Apex, we got to be aware of the trailing drawdown. There's a strategy that we can do to try to help out with this, so it's not so much of a hindrance. And you're trading the advanced plan, that same rule is also going to be applied in the advanced plan. In the growth plan, we're going to treat that the same as we would with takeprofittrader or My Funded Futures. And I will say, end of the day drawdown most certainly is the easier path to go ahead and pass the evaluation. So let's start off looking at Apex. What is the best way to pass an Apex account? We come over and look at a volume profile, for instance, and you're looking for a big move. Let's say that in Asia, and again, I'm just using Asia because that's where this chart came down to. You said, you know what? I think we're going to bounce back up and hit value area low. Well, one thing we want to be mindful of, we got in down here, the market, yes, that's a nice juicy profit of about $34. But what we have to be worried about is, what if it goes up 20 points and then it comes all the way back down and we get scared and we get stopped out? Then our drawdown is going to be affected by essentially $1,000 because 20 points in the ES would be $1,000. So with this, so if you're looking to trade that type of strategy, then you want to be aware that type of strategy is not going to bode well out here for the intraday trailing drawdown. What would be more beneficial would be if we dive down to, let's say, a 5-minute chart. And regardless how far up you think the market's going to go, for simple base hits. So that way we don't have to worry about the market coming back down and dinging us out. Like for instance, imagine right here, if you at the closing of this candle right here, you said, oh, look, nice bullish candle. Yeah, we have a wick on it. And then the market runs all the way up here where you're up 31 points. And then you move your stop and break even and it comes right back down, stops you out for break even. Well, your trailing drawdown is then going to move up roughly $1,500 and you just lost drawdown, even though you would have been right on the move. Now, if you held out through the whole entire thing and the market goes back up and you close it out up here or even up here, you would be fine. But you got to be well aware in an intraday trailing drawdown event, you don't want the market to pull back. So instead, you want to look for what I call base hits. Even if you think it's going to go up 30 points or whatever, just try to take, a quick 2, 3, 4, 5 points out of the trade, take your profit, move on to the next trade, and then rinse and repeat. Once you get into a funded account and you've already made, and in this example, $2,600, $2,500 plus $100, then you have a static account. But until we can get to either end of the day trailing drawdown or a static account, we just simply want to go for base hits. Now, if you're unwilling to give up the larger moves in the market here, like we had that big squeeze on the way up, there are other ways we can be really aggressive on trailing the market up. Let me show you some live examples from the live stream. And if you guys don't want to miss the next time I go live, hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the bell notifications for all. Now, the first example I'm going to share with you guys is a quick little base hit type of setup, which we take all the time on the live stream. So let's go ahead and roll that real quick. Try to wait for the knocking to let up a little bit. Oh, I was late on that. All right, that was quick. Now, in that example, you can see I went for a quick little base hit, $100, 5 points on the NASDAQ. Well, what about a runner where we can actually trail that really aggressive on the way up? Let's go ahead and take a look at a trade example of that. Screw it. Let's go. Let's go. Can we get it? Can you get the little pop, pop, pop? There we go. Break even on stop. And I'm just going to trail it up a little bit. And I'm going to trail a little bit more. And I'm going to trail a little bit more. And I'm going to trail some more. And I'm going to trail it more. Let's move that target out of the way. Woo! So both a quick target and trailing your stop loss order works very well for intraday trailing drawdown. You can also use that for the end of the day drawdown, but with the end of the day drawdown, like My Funded Futures or even Take Profit Trader, here's one of the trades that we talked about in the 5 o'clock video on May 1st. I basically said, since the P point from the prior day had not been tested, once the market reopened, we see where the new P point is, we could use that for a target. So if you end up getting in near this hammer candle, maybe you enter the market once we broke the high of that candle, you have your initial stop loss right below it. We can sit there and afford to let the market swing up towards this area. Now, in that example, this trade, we could have held it for 20 points. Say, Mike, no doubt it went straight up. There was no pullback. However, we would not have been that much concerned with it because even if it did ebb and flow back and forth before finally making it up there, we would still be fine. And also, if you want to play for the full volume profile rotation trade, which means once we break value area low, we're likely going to go all the way up towards value area high, then notice you could have held that knowing that once the market went X amount of points in your favor, you could then move the stop loss to break even and let the market just continue to work in your favor. Now, with Take Profit Trader, one of the reasons I love the 150K accounts is notice, since it's not an intraday trailing drawdown, it does not trail me all the way until the finish line. And Take Profit Trader, once you've made whatever your drawdown amount is, so in this example, in the 150K account, once I made $4,500 of profit, the drawdown moves up to 150,000 and is basically a static account. So the second half of this challenge, trying to pass to get to that $9,000 mark, you actually have more and more drawdown on each actual day. Now, if you'd like to see how I passed My Funded Futures prop account, which is the end of the day trailing drawdown in one single trade, then you don't want to miss this next video right here.